Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia. Welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020 Meta Preview. So it's a time for another one of those meta previews that we do every 2 weeks because, well, hero pools are every 2 weeks now. And we are heading into the third week of regular play of July. Well, actually, we're heading into August very, very soon. And then we're going to get into the Countdown Cup. Yes, I call it Countdown Cup this time, not Community Cup. I think it's because there was a Community Cup. I think it was Fran. Was it Fran's Community Cup or something? I think that's why I get it mixed up. Anyway, Countdown Cup. And what happens when we have the last 2 weeks of play in like a block? Well, we don't have any hero pools. In the previous 2 weeks, we have had a hero pool in effect, which has had a very major effect on what is being played in the league. And now that hero pool will be removed and every single hero will come back into the rotation. Yes, I'm sure we are all thrilled. So, who was banned during week 24 and week 25? Well, it was Ana, Orisa, Widowmaker, and Mei. So, that kind of had an effect on a lot of comps. Ana is used quite heavily in dive because of her long range healing. Orisa is Orisa. Orisa is just used everywhere. You are talking to a main tank who has been in Orisa jail for a very long time. Pepe hands. Anyway, Widowmaker, she saw quite a bit of usage, especially during the Summer Showdown where we saw XZ and the likes pop off on the Widowmaker hands as well. And she's been incredibly effective. She's always very effective at the high Overwatch League level unless she's being obviously countered by double barrier. Smile. And then Mei. Mei has seen her quite a fair share of playtime during this year of the Overwatch League. And she's often very effective in the brawl comps that we see with Reinhardt and D.Va, or Reinhardt and Sigma, or Reinhardt and Zarya, or pretty much Reinhardt and anyone. She's very, very good at those. We saw very early in the season where we had the Reaper, Mei, Reinhardt, D.Va comp that was rushing over people like Goats 2.0 and everyone got really annoyed by it. But Mei is still pretty darn good. Now, it's interesting. I think we all know the hero that is going to have the biggest impact on the meta when it comes to who is being, allowed back into the pool after this, going into next week. And we all know it's probably going to be Orisa. And the big question right now is, recently we have been seeing Winston Zarya or Wrecking Ball Zarya. Most likely last week it was Wrecking Ball Zarya. And in all fairness, we saw that in the previous hero pool when Orisa Sigma was available. Notably, like Seoul Dynasty liked to play it a lot, and also the Shanghai Dragons at times. So the big question is, after 2 weeks of this Wrecking Ball Zarya or this Winston Zarya, will it maintain its power now that Orisa is coming back, or will we now default back to double barrier, which is either Orisa Sigma or the Sigma with the Reinhardt? And I mean, there have been no changes to Orisa. There have been no changes to Sigma. So I don't expect the balance of power to change. Unless the teams are now feeling exponentially really comfortable on this Wrecking Ball comp. Or it is the possibility that Ana enables Genji more and so people want to play more dive. In that case, we see more of that Zarya, we see more of that Wrecking Ball. And it will benefit different teams. And it will not benefit different teams. Now, when you talk about next week, if Wrecking Ball Zarya hangs around, I don't think it massively benefits anyone because the elephant in the room, there's no Chengdu next week. They don't play next week, so they can't benefit from that at all. So another thing, obviously leading on to that, is Chengdu will be one of the top seeds going into the Countdown Cup, and well, they will have much better chance of doing well if the meta is Wrecking Ball Zarya than they will do if it's Orisa Sigma. I am very firmly of the opinion that if the Wrecking Ball Sigma falls off, if the Wrecking Ball Zarya falls off, and then we go back to Orisa Sigma, which is what I'm hedging my bets on right now, then Chengdu will struggle in the community. I said it in the Countdown Cup. I really think they will struggle, and it's unfortunate, but which teams could benefit from Orisa coming back? Well, London, although London looked incredibly comfortable on the Wrecking Ball Zarya comp last week actually with Banar and Jihan. It actually looked pretty darn good. So I think London are fairly good either way. Shanghai Dragons, Fearless, didn't look as comfortable on the Wrecking Ball. Now, the thing is with that was they can adapt it to a Winston Zarya, and they're fairly fine because Fearless has got a great Winston. But when going back to Orisa Sigma, Shanghai Dragons will be great once again. It is historically known that the Seoul Dynasty are fairly good on that comp, but they don't seem to run it, and who knows what happens with the Seoul Dynasty. Guangzhou Charge, I think they will very much like to go back to the Orisa Sigma with Krong on the Sigma and Rio on the Orisa. I think they would love to go back to that. It was a very rough week last week for the Guangzhou Charge, and I know I'm concentrating on APAC here, so let's move over to the NA region. And I think this will have a very big effect on the Washington Justice if we go back to Orisa Sigma. They looked really darn good on the dive, although this week they are taking on the Paris Eternal. So, to be quite honest, in either meta I still expect them to lose to the Paris Eternal. So, yeah, there's not much to say about that. But Florida Mayhem, for example, would probably benefit from the likes of Orisa and Sigma being heavily the tank line once again. We all know how good Gargoyles Sigma is, and San Francisco Shock just really don't give a toss. They really don't. They'll just play whatever comes at them, you know. And they're playing Houston this week and they'll have no Violet. So I still think they'll get a 3-0 there. And yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it with Orisa. I still think Orisa will be the mainstay. I think Orisa will come back and be alongside that Sigma because we haven't seen any balance changes to them. And I don't see any reason why they would fall out of the meta. The only reason they would fall out of the meta is if they literally physically can't be played, which is what has happened in the previous 2 weeks. What we might see is a clash of styles, and some teams want to continue running the Wrecking Ball Zarya, and some teams want to move back to the Orisa Sigma, and in that case we will see which comp is actually superior. And to be quite honest, because Orisa Sigma is going to counter the ball so heavily, I don't see the ball Zarya comp winning. But again, I would like to be proved wrong because I think this Wrecking Ball Zarya comp is really interesting and it's been really, really interesting to watch. But let's move away from that and talk about DPS and support, shall we? Ana coming back. Ana will always be played to a certain extent because she's one of the best supports in the game. Her long range healing is unmatched amongst the hero roster. And if people play the dive, I think we might see a little bit of her come back. But they also like the Zen. They like the Zen's Discord Orb. Zen is incredibly powerful when his Discord Orb can be really effective. And it's incredibly powerful at melting a Winston when it comes in. So I think what we will see is if we see more of the Divey, more of the Hammond or the Winston, then we will see more Zen. And Zen will be used for his Discord Orb to melt the tank as they come in. But if we see less dive and we go back to Orisa Sigma, I expect Zen to fall right down. And we will go probably back towards more Bap Brig or maybe Ana Brig. That's what I would say. I don't see a place for Moira. None of her changes have gone through, so you don't have to worry about that. I don't see a place for Moira. I see Mercy falling out because Ana will be back and Ana will pocket the Genji if they run Genji instead of the Mercy. And it's much safer to run the Ana than it is the Mercy. So I expect Mercy to suffer quite heavily from Ana coming back. Now we move on to the DPS though, and just caveat on the Lucio, Brigitte is still existing. Brigitte is still Brigitte. Don't expect that to change. Onto the DPS, Widowmaker will come back. In certain circumstances, Widowmaker will come back. She's better than McCree. Is she better than Ashe? No. But in some certain circumstances, the Widowmaker will be played over the Ashe. I'm very interested to see what happens and whether we go back to the Widowmaker Genji that we saw at the end of the Summer Showdown, which was amazing to watch out of some of the best teams in the league. It was really, really cool to watch. So I'm interested to see if we go back to the Widowmaker Genji or we stick to more of the Ashe Genji. The Genji patch, the Genji Nerf patch, actually was rolled back. So I don't know whether it will feature. I don't think it will, somehow. It depends when it gets rolled out, whether it's been delayed for a week or whether it's been delayed for a couple of days. I don't know as of time of recording when it's going out. So with it being rolled back, I still think Genji will be a meta. Will be the meta. And so I would expect to continue to see quite a bit of Genji play. Unless it is the tank line that may have an effect on this. I don't expect Mei to come back massively. Some teams may want to player as a niche sort of pick, but I don't expect her to be heavily meta. I think those days have sort of passed now with the move back towards the double barrier instead of having the Rhine. And so I don't expect Mei to come back too much. She may feature on certain points like Busan Mecha Base or Lijiang Control Center, where she can be incredibly powerful alongside the Reaper maybe. But she's a use case for certain maps in my opinion, and I don't expect her to feature really, really heavily across the entire map pool. But Widowmaker is a different story, and it'll be interesting to see what teams do. I think there will be a clash of styles in certain respects, where some teams will want to try and continue running the Wrecking Balls area or the Winston's area into the Orisa Sigma that some other teams might play. Or we might just see a wholesale change back to the Orisa Sigma, which wouldn't surprise me either. Either way, the most interesting sort of change or look we will see is what sort of tank lines the teams will be running. That'll be the most interesting thing coming out of this week, and it'll give us a massive indication of who are going to be the massive, most powerful teams going into the Countdown Cup, the last tournament ahead of the playoffs, and the last 2 weeks of this season. We are getting into crunch time. We have one more hero pool left probably, if there is going to be a hero pool for the last 2 weeks of the season. And yeah, this what gets played over the next 2 weeks is going to be a massive contributor to who gets banned. If it goes to Orisa Sigma, I think we will see Sigma banned, which will be very interesting. Very, very interesting. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting 2 weeks. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.